Oh, hi. Oh, hello there. Are you
Hello.
comfy? You're settling in? Tell me all about it. I really want to know how your day is going. We're the Just Gaming Tingz Podcast,
Yes, we
and
are.
we're here for you every Saturday. And we're here and we're queer and we love gaming. Hi, hello.
What is this like boyfriend video call fan service?
Private V Live.
Na 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 na. It's
Hi,
just
gay.
have you eaten today? Here's a snack. Oh, you got your lips dirty. Let me get that for you.
On
Not
ASMR.
boyfriend ASMR. POV.
Oh God.
POV for Ruby, your significant other ignores you while they play Pokemon Unite.
It's just my camera as I'm like looking to the side playing.
Yeah, but it's all just controller noise ASMR. You just hear the little like.
I get warned, y'all, that if I did the intro, it was gonna be goofy as hell. And delivered.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's our spin blend. This clown before you. I'm spin blend. We have with us today our wonderful
clown
host,
after you.
Delicious.
Hi. Hi, gays.
Hi. Tell us about how heavy your bread is.
It's heavy as hell. This heavy ass bread.
It's us bringing all of the off-stream shenanigans on stream.
I'm bringing the before show to you.
You're
we have a
welcome.
wonderful host, Lotus.
Hi. Hi,
Hello.
Kay. Hi, lesbians.
Yes.
Hi, lesbians. Let's go, lesbians.
Let's go,
Let's go,
lesbians.
Let's go.
Lesbian
Oh, I love
rights. Hello.
And we
It's my
also have a wonderful
favorite.
co-host, Ruby.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh my god.
That's it. That's all I have. Shake my tits one time, and that's it. That's all you get.
That's enough of an intro. That's all you need to know.
I mean, truly. It's too powerful if I keep doing it. Your internet connection will go away. You know,
disconnected from the call again.
Google
you know.
Docs
Oh, wow.
finished.
The FBI shows up at your home.
The in your phone judges you for the content you're viewing.
The Reddit gamers get angry at you.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Can
No,
you tell
it's true.
the before portion of the podcast was very chaotic this afternoon on this good day?
Yeah. When
There
is
were
it
tears,
not?
there was yelling, there was fighting, there was happiness, there was drama.
I mean,
All
truly.
drama.
But do we want to do a podcast?
Oh,
yeah, I guess
we're doing a
Yeah.
I mean, since I'm
podcast.
here.
Wait, I have this wild idea. What if we all started a podcast?
What if we
I
do it
don't know.
every single Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on
Oh my
twitch.tv/Just
God.
Gaming Tingz
What if we upload it on YouTube after?
at a completely random time at a completely random day because I couldn't be bothered to be consistent with anything in life.
But it
Oh my God,
will
what
get
if we
there.
Eventually.
Yeah, one
I think
day.
that's a great idea.
I feel like if you subscribe to us, if you follow us on all the platforms, we will grow enough so we can hire a team so we can do things on time. Ding.
Love that. Love that.
Well,
Do you want to actually do the podcast?
let's do it. You know
Maybe.
what?
Podcast.
We may be on a budget, but Crunchyroll and Funimation are not because they just merged for nearly $1.2 billion doll hairs. And I'll be honest, Funimation is not really a thing here. I have to use a VPN to access it. Crunchyroll, a mess. The buffering, intolerable. Disgusting, rotted. So hopefully this is good news that the service is going to be better. So yeah, Funimation acquired Crunchyroll, and the only thing that kind of concerns me about this is that like I said, I just recently got a VPN service, and so I got into Funimation. And they have a thing where, like, for some series, it's like, oh, the new episodes are, like, for premium subs. And, like, that's fine. That's what Crunchyroll does. That's fine. Like, you just wait a couple weeks and then you watch it. The problem is there's some older shows that they have that, like, the first episode is free and then, like, everything else you have to pay for, and it's like, that's an
Oh, I
old
hate
show. Why just like,
I think Dragon Ball Z is like that. And that, I mean, I love Dragon Ball Z, but that show's old as hell.
yeah, yeah, I think they did the same with, like, Full Metal Alchemist and stuff like that, and I'm just like, why rude.
I don't know.
But
Be
what do we
rude.
think? What do we think about this? Since I've made my thoughts very clear on both services.
Just like both of them are rotted. Hopefully this will make them better.
Well, I don't lie on this podcast, do I?
No, truly. I don't know. I think like the idea of them like coming together and like this is kind of tangentially gaming related because like now it's all owned by Sony and like it could. I remember like when I read the article on this that we are referencing, they kind of brought up that that this could mean that a lot of like pretty much like the biggest anime streaming service like could be kind of a Sony like exclusive, kind of a PlayStation exclusive. And I think it's an interesting idea to be able to have like a lot of anime very accessible in like one place, but that also means that there's a lot of anime just in one place.
I don't love a monopoly.
Yeah. I don't like the board game Monopoly. I don't like the concept of monopolies. So yeah.
I will say, like,
That's
the
kind of my
only
thoughts.
thing that, like, is good is I like the idea of less streaming services. And, like, I don't want a monopoly necessarily, but if we have to subscribe to, like, 5 different services in order to watch 5 different shows, that's where I'm like, okay, we're doing too much. So I kind of like the idea of, like, the bigger ones to kind of slowly but surely kind of reclaim some of the smaller ones and be like, okay, you're mine now. Just for the sake of, like, because some things it's like you can get a pretty decent amount of anime if you're like on Netflix and Prime, and then now with this service you basically get all the anime. And so I think it, depending on the region and whatever, you can use VPNs, all that, but I don't like the idea of it being under one thing, but I also don't love the idea of having thousands of services to choose from and just be like, oh, I guess I'm spending all my money on all of these options and I'm not going to watch either because I have too many options and I can't make a choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
and
kind
then
of
you just wind
lose
up,
when
like,
streaming's
scrolling.
involved. It's
Man.
Yeah, I find myself doing a lot of, oh, I want to watch this one specific show, but it's on this like very small streaming service. So I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna binge it within the free trial period, and then I wind up forgetting to cancel, and it charges me for the first month, and it's like I'm just like, damn it.
Oh, no.
Or the alternative, gay communism, where like within your friend group, like one person has HBO and one person has Netflix, and you all just
And you're only paying
coordinate
for one
to
thing.
watch at the same time.
Yes.
That's how I do it.
Right.
Everything else is a mess. I hate it.
I love that.
I do
You
kind of
love
feel
it, I hate
like
Listen, eat the
Feel
rich.
like we kind of reinvented cable, but worse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
With streaming, because
Mhm.
like everything used to be under like a couple things, and like now there's a billion different little things, and it's like you're individually paying for like each channel. So
Right.
like if you paid for like all of the streaming services, it would be like the same amount of money as like getting cable, but like you have to log into each individual one to watch whatever show you want to watch.
Right.
And like at least with channels, they would usually be one genre. Like you pay for Game Show Network because you like game shows. Like when you pay for Hulu or Netflix, you're just getting all this crap. Like I don't watch 99% of the stuff on Netflix, but I still have an account for Great British Bake Off. And well, actually, Lego Masters is on Hulu. Never mind.
I'm yelling.
Choice. See, that's kind of my thoughts. Like, it's nice. The idea of having like all of that anime in one place, cool. But like edging closer towards Monopoly,
Not
ooh,
cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, it kind of has me worried.
De-invent cable again, because we live in the world of technology. It's the year of our Lord and Savior 2021. Cable doesn't work on the internet, and they keep like trying to make it work, and we all hate it. Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I probably only used Crunchyroll like once in my life. It was a long ass time ago, and like there was this another subscription thing that was connected to Crunchyroll, which I think was called Viv or something like that.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
And like you
remember
could,
that.
remember that.
I had that for like a couple months just to like watch My Hero Academia, but it's like you technically got like a subscription to like Crunchyroll, but I think it was like a basic one. So like you got like different subscriptions everywhere. But I only watched on Viv to like watch My Hero Academia. Like that was about it. Like I do know that like when I used to try to actually watch stuff on Crunchyroll, it was a mess. But I don't think I've ever ended up watching anything on Funimation before. Probably once, but I just mainly used Viv. So it's just like I'm not sure because like if I were to watch anime, it's on other services or Netflix, and those were my always go tos. So I don't know what this will mean, but I hope it'll be okay.
It's my thing to be okay.
Yeah. I just want people to be okay.
Right.
I feel like the only implication, and it's not like a terrible one, is that probably it's gonna become a thing where like if people get PS Plus, they can get a free
Mhm.
sub to that, which is a win.
Oh, that'll be a serve.
But I don't think Sony commented on that. They're like, we would like to hear your opinions and then
I
make a
do
decision
not want to comment.
ourselves. But yeah.
Very that. Dex, do you want to get into our next story?
Oh my God.
Because I have
Okay.
the openings and thoughts.
Right. So, fun fact. Recently, a Xenoblade voice actress implies a new game is in the works for Xenoblade Chronicles. She was apparently on just talking about her thing, and she was like, "How long ago was the first game? 10 years ago?" And then she was just like discussing her life. And then she's like, I think they're going to do another. And she's like, common knowledge, don't know. Yeah, I think they're
I
going to do another. Not sure if I'm allowed to say that. So, okay, first off, she's a serve for just being like, yeah, I think they're making another one. And as the only voice of somebody that's like played a Xenoblade Chronicles game, I am unfortunately also in the minority of people that play the Xenoblade Chronicles games. Because hold up. So
oh,
Here we
here we
go.
we have
go.
props.
We have props. We have Xenoblade Chronicles X. Oh, not it being backwards. Wait, it's
Can you
backwards
do
for
the
me. It needs
makeup
to get
Oh,
thing?
better.
it's fine for us.
It's fine for
Okay,
us.
good. Yeah, it's Xenoblade
Iconic.
Chronicles X. It was for the Wii U, as you can see, the system that only 20 people owned, and out of those 20 people, only one person owned this, which was me. So as somebody who's played this game, I had the best time in the world because it was like the originals from what I've seen, but you could customize your own character and like the story was really gripping to me. So it was like really good. And I'm the clown hoping for a remake because it was on the Wii U. So like it didn't really have much potential being on the Wii U because like only 5 people owned a Wii U.
And you're the
So
only one who owns the game, so.
right, and I was the only one that owns the game. So like, one purchase isn't just gonna justify them remaking the game. So I hope that they'll remake it one day so to like open it to a broader audience since there's more people that have Switches than like anything else right now. So like I just hope that they would remake it. So like hearing another one's in the works does make me sad because I believe I checked the 10th anniversary for Xenoblade Chronicles X is 2023, I think. So I'm like hoping that they could do a 10th anniversary, But I'm just hoping that this third one's good because I've like seen the second one or like seen some parts. I haven't seen much, but it didn't look like it was the tea. So I'm just hoping they do better with this third one. But I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts on this game y'all never knew, but this voice actress being iconic and giving the tea. So I want to hear what y'all think.
It's pretty iconic, honestly.
I do. Tom
Right.
Holland found dead because she said, "Oh, another Xenoblade that everyone's been waiting 10 years for." Yeah, I think so. Don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I love
Super
it.
casual about
Right.
it.
Yeah, so I revealed this detail and Dex was incensed. But I do in fact have Xenoblade Chronicles for Switch and I have not played it yet. It's in my backlog. It's gonna happen
To
someday.
be fair, it's like 100 hours long, isn't it?
It really
Yeah.
is.
Like literally, like not even exaggerated.
Well,
Yeah, that's why I would recommend. Well, actually, I can't because I think I did clock in about 80 hours of
oh well.
Xenoblade Chronicles X. But then again, I was like, when I first got it, I would just leave my Wii U on sometimes, so it's probably like 60 or 70.
Well. This just
Yeah,
reminds
those
me
are-
of like the Kingdom Hearts 3 things where like the voice actor for Goofy keeps saying the game is almost ready and everyone was like, what's the truth? So I don't trust anything until the game is literally downloaded in my console. I don't trust anyone. Kingdom Hearts 3 has ruined me.
Everyone,
Ruined a lot
us
of
all.
people.
Yeah.
Maybe that's for the best. Maybe it's best for us to be skeptical.
I do love the
Yeah.
casualness about it. Just like, oh, yeah, I think so. And people were like, wait, what? Wait, what do you mean?
She said, "Oh, y'all didn't know? Oh, well."
Right.
Oops. Oh no.
That would be me as like a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like I'm working on something and I'm like, yeah, I'm working. Yeah, that's happening. And they're like, wait, what is happening? And I'm like, oh, nothing.
That was just a joke.
Oh, y'all know that. Well,
This is why I can't sign any NDAs because I'm a forgetful bitch.
But that's why you should, because if you forget the thing that you can't talk about, don't even have to worry
True.
about it.
But if I forget that I can't talk about it, then that's a problem.
Just assume you can't talk about anything.
Oh,
that's
like
that's
Just don't
also
talk.
a good approach.
podcast and T-pose.
Not the T-posing.
Yeah, like as
Condone.
as someone who does a lot of podcasting, it's funny when people are like, they message me and they're like, can I talk about being on the podcast? I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. For podcasts, it's funny. I'm like, yeah, it's coming out in 2 days. It's fine.
Like,
It's like, no, sign this NDA. You can't talk about it until the episode is released on YouTube 24 hours later.
I just haven't
No
made a,
mentions
a
of
tweet
Dex's
about
happy
it.
ass bread.
Well,
Oh my god. Do we want to get into some of the more depressing topics of the day?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we're gonna slowly descend into negativity, just very
Then we go up a
gradually.
little bit more at the end.
Yeah, just gonna
So a regular Saturday afternoon.
fully exactly, just a regular Just Gaming Tingz
Yeah.
episode. We're just gonna ramp up off a cliff.
And just
Just
uh,
completely off. I do have
just your auditory Thelma and Louise experience.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Ruby, go ahead and get into yours.
Yeah, so my first mildly negative story is actually kind of funny to me, but the girlies are pissed because there's this new Battle Royale game called Naraka Bladepoint, and it's like a melee, you're like fighting the girlies without guns, which is, mind-blowing apparently because, every other Battle Royale is nothing of the sort. And the controversy here is that apparently for the first few matches, they just fully put bots on your match, and people are like, "Oh my god, I'm so good at this game," and then they're like, "Oh, there were bots." And so, yeah, some people are saying it's annoying. This is all from like an article on Kotaku that's reporting on people's opinions on Reddit. So this is very meta. Um, people apparently some people's theories is that some of the early games are filled with bots because they want to make people feel good about the game so that they don't refund the game on Steam because there's like a limited amount of time on Steam in which you can refund a game. But I don't have a problem with bots personally in a battle royale situation because one, it makes queue times way quicker. Two, like it's not like the bots are gonna win anyway, so it's like you just get some practice in, and then it's like if you're having fun with the game, does it really matter that you were playing against bots or against people? Because it's like if you're good at the game, if you're having fun with like the mechanics of the game, does it really matter that you were fighting bots at first? Like I don't know. Like that for me is silly. Like I wish more
That's
games
fine.
kind of did that because the other day, so a little story time. I was browsing through my Twitch and I was like, "Oh, Prime Gaming." I click. I saw a very attractive man wearing a very attractive an outfit that highlighted his attractiveness, and I was like, I perceive, I claim it, it's from Apex Legends. I've played Apex maybe like 2 times, and I was like, let me install. It was like 5 a.m. my time, irrelevant perhaps, we'll see. It's 5 a.m. I queue for a match. I played the total of 2 songs on my Spotify, which was roughly 6 minutes, and I was like, it's over. I haven't gotten a match yet. I'm logging off. And so, if bots were a thing, I could have just had like maybe half of the people queuing up would have just joined, and the other half would have been bots, and it would have been fine,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have had a blast. And so, I'm not into this idea of like, oh no, they're trying to trick us. It's like, no, they're just trying to like my thing is like I assume it's just they're just trying to ease you into the game. But yeah, what do y'all think?
I just it's especially because like Pokemon Unite, for instance, like in the first tutorial match you're against bots. So it's like I don't get what the big deal is because like mama just like shut the fuck up. Like you're not gonna be like good at this game right away. So I don't think that you should be out here like, oh no, like how dare they put bots in my game because I thought it was really good. I'm getting killed at like number 97 or something. And I'm like, well, maybe that's your fault, mama, because it's just like it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Just let yourself practice with these bots before you run into real people because you're not going to just immediately be good at all these games.
Yeah. And also, let's not forget that pretty much every online multiplayer game that is competitive, including every Battle Royale, has hidden numbers, usually referred to as matchmaking rating, which compares your wins and losses against other players to see how good you are. And if you're a transplant from another Battle Royale or another game similar to Naraka Bladepoint, you are going to be better than every other level 1 player. So is it better to just be crushing level 1s who don't know what they're doing? No, it's the same thing. So the purpose of the bots is also to try to see how good you are. So when you get matched against human players, you are getting a decent match. Like, of course you're going to be playing against bots. I don't understand. Most games even force you to play against bots for your first like handful of matches, and
Yeah.
then they let you into the actual multiplayer lobby. It doesn't make any sense, Dynab.
Right.
I
Truly.
I don't understand what like the fuss is about. It's just like one, this isn't new, and two,
That's the main one for me.
they're just getting you used to the game. Like I think what the thing that people have the problem with is that like nobody told me that there were going to be bots, and it's like
There's
I
always
feel
bots.
like that should be an assumption. But I mean, it could be nice to be like, hey, these first like few tutorial rounds you're gonna be playing against bots, just so you know. But like, I really don't think there's any kind of like nefarious intentions there. I really think it's just like to get you used to the game. I don't get what the fuss is about.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that's fully the thing for me. It's like they're getting you used to the game, and like you can even get a gist of like if you like how the game plays or not, like from playing against the
Right.
bots. Just because you're good at it doesn't mean that you're gonna like the game. Like you could just play like a couple matches and be like, oh, this is rotten. And also like the game is new, so it's like, of course they're gonna like put in a bit of padding just in case the game is a flop, and it's like day
Mhm.
one and you're playing the game and you're like, oh, I can't, like matchmaking sucks. So it's like I feel like with a lot of these things, I feel like gamers just confirm my belief that they don't know what they want, because if they didn't have any bots, matchmaking would have been longer and they would have been like, oh, this game sucks because
Oh,
matchmaking
it
is
takes
super
too long to
long.
get a match. Oh no.
Right. And then like if they have bots and matchmaking is way quicker, then they complain that there's bots. So it's like just gamers being gamers, aka annoying, don't know what they want, spoiled, wanting every single game to be catered specifically to them. Do I need to go on?
Yeah, it's bad. It's very bad.
It's silly. Makes me want to play the game though. I'm kind of like, oh, you pissed off the gamers.
Maybe we get dip our little toesies in there.
Maybe you made some points.
Oh my god. Well, Ruby, you did bring up Apex.
I sure did.
And gamers.
I we regrettably have to inform you about one of the devs from Apex being fired after making discriminatory blog posts online. Oh wow. All right. So, a little behind the scenes. Let's pull back the curtain a bit.
Let's do
I
that.
found an article on this and like brought this topic to the group and was like, "Hi, hello. What can we talk about this?" I found an article from PC Gamer about it, which was very like it was way more sympathetic to this guy. Like they were just like, "Oh, he made these statements in 2007."
Which was 14 years ago.
This
Exact
14
quote,
years
by the way.
ago. And basically the guy's just like, oh, I don't know if I'll ever be able to atone for the person I was 14 years ago. Like, never mind. Lotus, I mean, like, you like put all the strings together, did the whole FBI routine. Apparently this guy
Internet Detective Lotus was on the case, yes.
Yeah. Apparently this guy was a full-ass adult, like
27 years of age.
30-year-old adult making these posts online. And so thanks so much, Lotus, for finding this article from Gaming Mag, which gave us a lot more information about this.
Shoutouts to Gaming Mag.
Oh my god. Alright. So apparently this guy he wrote these blog posts online that claim, like, he claims now he's just like, oh, I didn't mean any of it, it was just supposed to be for like shock value, but he's talking about he's like
joked
ranting
about having
about
slaves.
like women and talking about owning African people. Yeah, like
What is shock value gonna do for you, mama? Like, get you fired
Well,
14
at the
years down
age
the
of
line, Miss
27.
Thing.
Ugh.
yeah, like I feel like there's things that like people have said for shock value, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I can see like that was kind of the culture at the time, but like people in 2007 weren't making jokes about having slaves. I was alive in 2007.
He's not
I remember.
13.
Right.
Right.
If you said something awful at the age of 13 because you thought shock value jokes are funny, I'm like, well, that's shitty, but like, you were
But you were also a teenager.
So,
Right.
like, a grown-ass adult. Like, yeah, like I remember like people who were like 15 and 16 around the time that I was 15 and 16, which is like around
Mhm.
this time, would like make shitty jokes, and that sucked too. It sucked then, honestly,
Right.
because
Yeah.
the butts of those jokes were usually like people of color, queer people. But like to make like jokes that are like this extreme as an adult on the internet, and
On
you're
the internet.
and you're wanting to be like, oh, I've changed, I'm a different person, like, ugh.
Like 14 years is a lot as a kid because like you could be 1 year old and you could be 15. Like that's the
Mhm.
15-year break. But like 14 years from 27 to like
Oh,
41,
math. Oh.
like
Mhm.
no. Like you're still an adult, Mama. Nothing has changed. You just reached
Mhm.
possibly middle aged, but like that doesn't make you smarter or like kinder or anything. So it's just like no, I will not accept this.
My thing is also like there's a big difference between someone saying, "Hey, this was like I could see someone's reaction being like, "This was 14 years ago and that was I was completely reckless and foolish and like you know what I mean? Like accountability, just being like, yeah, that was really fucking shitty, whatever. But I think when they make themselves like the victim and they're like, oh, I
Mhm.
will never recover from this. I've been canceled and there's no turning back. It's like when they make it about themselves, for me, is when it tells me that they haven't changed. Because I'm like, no, you're making it about you. And also the other thing
Mhm.
is like when people say like, oh, it was for shock value. It's like, so you knew this was shitty.
Mhm.
You knew this was shitty because if it wasn't a shitty thing for you to say, it wasn't shock value. So like even when people are like, "Oh, this was a product of its time," it's like, well, yeah, but also like no. But also
Because
like
if it's a product of its time, it's not okay. That doesn't mean it's okay.
Right.
if it was a product of its time, it wouldn't be considered shock value back then because it would have been a
Hmm.
normal thing for people to say. But if it's a thing that you
Mhm.
say was shock value, then it means it wasn't okay to say even then. So it's like, and yeah, like I could understand the difference from like 14 to like 28. Like, hey, I'm an adult now. I was a kid then. Questionable choices. All kids make questionable choices. But yeah, and I feel like even as we say this, it's like even us, like please hold us accountable for the things that we say and do, kind of thing. Like we're not immune, we're not better than anyone. We're what like you know what I mean? But it's just like I always find it like so interesting when people don't have like when they have so much pride that it it's about them suddenly. It's not about, the people that you were making jokes about. It's not about the people that felt, you know, offended. I hate saying offended because everyone uses that word like, "Oh, everyone is so offended." But like, truly
Mhm.
offended,
We
hurt,
get you.
etc. Um and it's like you're not making it about them. It's like just fucking apologize, own up to it and be like, yeah, I said those things, it was shock value, it was ridiculous, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry. What can I do to be better? Like even I feel like even that is like asking for the victims to be like, yeah, okay, let me educate you. So even that is like do your own research and
Well, on
like
a track,
yeah,
if nothing else.
yeah, well,
I do want to point out, lovely co-host Koga in chat said, "My question is, how did they not know about this over the past 14 years?" Well, they did. In the PC Gamer article, they have a quote from him that says, "I fully own the awful, bigoted statements I made in 2007, and am disgusted with my younger self for making them. But there's also no doubt in my mind that they came to light because someone went looking for things to hurt me with. EA was aware of this allegation, and I specifically asked them to be on the lookout for these strategies being used against other employees in the future. Now, if you've ever spoken to me, you know that I think Apex Legends is fucking racist, and Respawn keeps doing very quietly extremely racist things. And so for me, that's a very alarming quote, and I
mm-hmm.
don't like it. And I'm concerned that that's a thing that he felt comfortable to say to a journalist and was like, yeah, publish it. Of course. Why wouldn't anyone want to know about this?
Yeah. I also don't like the narrative of like people are looking for things that I've said to hurt me. It's like,
Yeah.
have you thought about maybe they were aware of those things or maybe you've done other things like that recently and they're looking for more things because apparently you need like a fucking Google Doc filled with receipts in order for someone to believe anything that you say about anyone. Um, Maybe that.
Have you ever thought that maybe you were the one hurting people and they would like you to stop and not be in a position of power at an extremely influential company? Just a thought.
Maybe.
Just a
Right.
concept that I have. I don't know.
Right.
It's really
I feel
frustrating.
like my main thing with all of this too is like if you feel like you're growing as a person, like I've never had the same social media like account for like longer than like a couple years. So like I wouldn't really know like what it would be like to go back and be like, "Oh my God, I said all this shit." But like logistically, like if you've grown as a person, like wouldn't you like go back just like in general and be like, I can't believe I said that. Let me like delete this, take this off my Facebook, take this off my Twitter. Like you just let that shit just sit there and like ruminate. Like and you feel like nothing's gonna happen. Like I feel like you obviously haven't learned or like that you haven't grown if you're not going back and like holding yourself accountable before anybody else can. So it's like hold yourself accountable, check up on yourself sometimes, your past self sometimes, just to like make sure that you did not do this shit when you were younger and that you should be fine. But it's always these people that like just want to be like, oh, I've grown, but they did nothing to show that they've grown. So it's just it doesn't make sense to me.
Not the sip.
I I was thinking of while you were talking, I was thinking of like people who like quote unquote get canceled multiple times and then like first of all like we could talk forever about how like canceling is like fake and people just like wait for scandals to blow over and then their career's fine. But just like whenever somebody does like one of these people like does something and then all of like the past stuff gets brought up, it's not that people are bringing up stuff that they've done in the past specifically like as if it, oh, people are just out to get me, oh no, people just don't want to see me succeed. It's like you were not held accountable for those things then, and now there's another opportunity for
Yeah.
this information to reach more people, for you to finally be held accountable for these things. It's like you were not held accountable at that time,
Right.
and there's no way to hold you accountable. So, like, yeah, people are going to be like using opportunities where you're like getting into more controversial shit to be like, here's all this other stuff that we've been talking about, but nobody's been listening because it's not a
Right.
trending topic. You know, like
And it's
Exactly.
also like
that's just kind of baffling to me.
they don't want you to succeed because you did all these things. It's not like, oh, I'm an innocent person and they're finding things to hurt me. It's like, no, you did those things. You hurt people and then they
Nobody
found
asked
it
you.
and they don't want you in those positions anymore. Turns out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody made you write this. Like,
exactly. But they always act like somebody else like went on their account and typed it out and that they had no recollection. It's just it
I don't even
makes
know who
zero
that
sense
person
to me.
was.
I don't know who they were.
Like,
It was a
that was you.
stranger.
It was you.
Like, I will be the first to acknowledge that like going back like 10, 15 years ago, I would absolutely shove my younger self down a flight of stairs. But
Yeah.
like I acknowledge that that's still me. Like, yeah, I've grown and changed a lot, obviously, but like that's still, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I don't know who that person was. It's like,
Like, oh, I know.
Mhm.
no, that's
Oh, I
Yeah.
you.
know. It was
You
me.
If
did
you've
that. Uh-huh.
if you've grown and you've grown intentionally and you've grown a lot, you can be like, no, yeah, I was that person. Icky. I'm glad I'm not anymore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. It is very worrying that that was a thing that was brought up internally and nobody at is it EA? Nobody was like,
EA who owns Respawn, yeah.
yeah, nobody was like, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't have that position." Because this isn't like a random ass employee. This is like the lead designer for Apex Legends. So, you know. Also, I feel
I
like
mean, let's be real.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Oh,
no.
I was just gonna say, let's be real. At a company as big as EA Respawn, there's a pretty good chance people did bring it up and they just wanted to keep their jobs, so they stopped bringing it up, you know? I can't rule
Right.
out that possibility.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. But like when the actual person is saying like, "Hey, I did these things," and they're like,
We-
"Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We thank you for the heads up."
As long as it doesn't cause a scandal online. Oops.
Oh, well,
And then
Real?
cut to 2021. Well,
we're gonna unfortunately be continuing to speak about things that have caused scandals online.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into yours?
What did you
Lotus?
say, Pants? Sorry, it went robot for me. Can you say that again?
I was asking if you wanted to get into the story that you brought to us.
Oh yeah, it's a rough one. I'll say that much. I hate that I'm in the next two stories, but it's fine. But I guess for anyone who may not know, there's I would say pretty well-known composer for a lot of these sort of wholesome, comfy, cozy sort of genre, or gets slotted into that genre. You know what I mean? Named Pedro Silva, who has admitted to sexually assaulting their previous girlfriend, and who has had repeated allegations of stalking Asian American and Pacific Islander women. And they are in the new game that released a couple days ago, Button City. They did the music for it. They were mentioned as doing the music for it pretty early on. I think either like on the same day or a few days before those allegations came out. So, you know, you can understand with an indie game, they wouldn't have time or money probably to hire an entire new composer. But curiously, Button City has never said anything about it publicly, which is where the concern comes in. For anyone who may not know as well, Pedro Silva also was a composer on Ooblets and Omori and another game I believe called Guildlets. And yeah, Ooblets made a statement. I believe Omori made a statement. Button City, very quiet. A lot of people on Twitter have been like, hey, you know, we understand if you can't hire a new composer, but could you at least say something? Can you say, like, hey, you know, we work with them. We don't have the money to get another composer. The game's already done, and we are sorry, and we don't want to associate with them. That's the bare minimum, please. I would be interested to hear what y'all think. The article which we have from Uppercut Crit, where I work, is more in depth, but that's the basics of the situation.
It's very telling of the phrase "silence speaks volumes" because it's like if they really cared to be like, oh, we work with this like terrible person and we like can't do anything to like put new music in it, and they don't find like try to find a way to like do like change it or to make an announcement about it if they still use it, like, oh, we have to use their music because we have no other means to get more, but we do not affiliate with this person anymore. It should be that simple, but they just don't want to put the work or time into like an apology or like saying that they don't affiliate with that person anymore. So it's just very telling that they just like probably really don't care, or that they don't really, they're like, oh, it's not on us, it's not our game that's in trouble, even though like they had the composer that did all this stuff. So it really rubs me the wrong way that they just don't want to say anything.
Yeah. Like, I think it's another one of those situations where it's kind of worrying because without wanting to make assumptions, I mean, all that we can do is make assumptions because we don't know the conversations that are being had internally at these companies, indie or otherwise. Um, but it is kind of worrying that one thing that pops into my mind is maybe they knew and they were just trying to, oh, let's just, do a stealth release and see if maybe no one will say anything.
Mm-hmm. It
Another
always has to be a concern.
Yeah, another questionable concern would be that maybe the leadership of this, indie studio doesn't care about the allegations and they're like, nah, whatever. And they don't want to make a statement actively against it because, as we've kind of heard from the Activision Blizzard situation, is that a lot of people came out saying that this stuff doesn't just happen over there. It happens on indie studios too. It happens everywhere. So it kind of, makes me be like weary of them and be like, are they contributing to this issue like knowingly? And that's
Mhm.
why they don't make a statement. Like, I don't know. Like, and to me, that's one of those things where like when when people are associated with someone that has a past like this, it's hard to not make that assumption that they support them regardless of, like whatever. It just makes you think like, oh, they are in support of them, which I know a lot of people are against that because it's like, oh, just because I follow someone on Twitter, just because I'm associated with that person doesn't mean that I support all of their decisions. But from the outside looking in, I think it's difficult to not make those assumptions. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is worrying. That still, as for the time that we're recording this, I don't think there's been a statement yet. So yeah, just be aware of who you're supporting. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I I just feel like not enough people and like not enough companies realize that not making a statement is a statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Like
worse.
Yeah,
it
It's
I
worse.
agree.
it's way worse. Like, and it sucks so much because I was pretty excited for Button City. I was like, oh my god, it looks so
Mhm.
cute. I might like to play that. I think it's actually still on my Steam wish list. I'm just like, and this is just like so upsetting. Like the the thing is, even if there was like even like a shred of a like we're aware of the issue, like we know about it, we didn't like we don't have the resources to like take their music out of the game right now, like we're not working with them going forward, like even if there was like something like that, I feel like people would be
Mhm.
more understanding. Like I feel like because like especially since it's an indie studio and like they're not going to have like as much resources as a AAA studio. It's like
Mhm.
I feel like people would be willing to be more understanding, but like just not saying anything at all is just like, ooh, it doesn't look good.
It looks very bad, in
It
fact.
looks really bad.
Yeah, really bad. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
think that there's the sense of pride again kind of thing where like sometimes studios, no matter how big or small they are, they don't like, and I think it's a very old school PR kind of way where it's like, oh no, there's no problems at our company, nothing, we certainly could afford to hire someone else. And it's like they it's there's almost this thing of like there's a fear almost, it seems, where they don't want to say that they don't have enough money to hire someone else, or they don't want to say that they're
Mhm.
struggling monetarily or that they don't have the resources. Like they almost, because I feel like a part of it would be them, like for investors potentially they could be like, oh, they're struggling, oh, they don't have enough resources to do stuff like this. But at the same time, this probably looks worse for investors because investors are going to be like, oh, they're actively working with an abuser, okay, let me not invest in their future work or in their studio anymore. So it's a smaller loss if they were to just admit that, oh, we weren't aware of it, and moving forward we're not working with them anymore, or we're not selling the soundtrack, or we're not putting the soundtrack on streaming services so that they don't profit off of this, like whatever. Or if they can do that, they probably can't. There's probably contractual obligations there that they have to fulfill. But also be transparent about that. Like, hey, we have contractual obligations to fulfill with this person. We weren't aware of all their allegations, accusations, etc. So we're just, for the time being, we kind of have to work with them because we didn't know and we signed a contract and we can't breach the contract. Just like be transparent about it. I think it would be so much better than to just say nothing.
The lesson of the day every day. Please just be transparent. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what we're talking about. Please just be transparent about things.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
we
Tell
will
the
find out.
truth.
Please.
Eh, people will find out anyway. Like,
Hmm.
this is the internet.
Right.
Yes.
Just let's tell the truth. And then it looks so much worse if you didn't tell the truth, and then people find out anyway because it's
Mm.
2021 and we have access to all this information.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's so like weird to think about like you kind of get like this perception of like a lot of the games that are marketed as like very wholesome, that like, oh, it must be like a blast working on them, like everybody who's working on them must be so great, and it's like, no, these problems are industry wide, and
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
even the people who make wholesome cutesy games can be shitty sometimes, and like and I'm just
Gotta be wary of these things, no matter what.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have raised like alarm bells of like games and spaces that really brand themselves like wholesome, comfy, cute, chaotic, whatever. It's like that's fun, and if you like that, that's great and that's fun. But if they take that label too seriously, it is a really, really easy place for abusers to get into and operate for a very long time and not get caught, and nobody cares. So just be careful.
It's like a similar red flag as to when people are like, "Oh, this company is like a family. It's a family vibe."
Very
Nope.
that.
Absolutely not. And the reason it's a problem is because they will be like, "Hi, bestie, can you work a couple more hours today? I know you've already worked like 10 hours, but you know, you just do this favor for me." And you're like, out of the goodness of your heart, you're like, "Yeah, sure." And next thing you know, you're like not being paid for all this extra work, and you're doing it because, it's a family. And it's like, "No, girl." No, it's not. But yeah.
Like the people who like introduce themselves to you and they're like, I'm an empath, I'm like super honest. And it's like, if you have to tell people that if you have to tell people that you're like an honest and super good person and you're an empath, then you're like, oh, like chances are like
When like someone's first thing that they say is like, I don't feature drama. I'm not about the drama. People are fake. You're like,
meanwhile they are
hmm.
in the drama.
Like, yeah, day one they're like in like the cafeteria telling someone like, "Oh," asking all the like juicy questions like, "Okay, so is he single? Is he has he cheated on his girlfriend before?" And then they're like, "No, I'm not about the drama. I could never."
Not about the drama. Oh my god.
Well,
Do we want to move on and get into another spicy story this afternoon?
yeah, I mean, we're rolling off the cliff. We might as well just get all the way down
Yeah,
now.
We might as well impact.
We might as well just hit a tree on the way down.
Yeah.
Let's just
Miley
crash through
Cyrus
the
style.
tree. The tree we're crashing into is Boyfriend Dungeon. Another game that I was super excited about.
Me
And it
too.
sucks 'cause, like, I feel like people who've been excited about this, we've been waiting for like so long, and it's like finally come out and we're just like, yes, and like everybody's playing it and everybody was so excited. And then stuff starts to come out about how like one of the main storylines of this game involves like a stalking like abuser storyline that you cannot opt out of.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I know that's not necessarily going to be a deal breaker for everybody, but like you can have stories with difficult subject matter, but just like warn people and like make it optional. And the thing that like struck me about this that was just like so weird to me is there's before you start up the game, there's an option and they give to you and they're like, would it will you do you want to receive messages from a character that's referred to like as mom, like as your mother? And you can opt out of that. But the whole like stalking storyline, like the stalking obsessive abuser storyline is not optional. So
Mhm.
like the texts from mom are optional, but not this. I just the
Mm-hmm.
priorities were weird to me, and I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'd like to get into it because I don't know if y'all know, but part of the reason this thread exists is because of me.
Yes.
So I was watching somebody else stream Boyfriend Dungeon, and I came in like in the middle of the stream, so I didn't really you know, I probably had the same impression of Boyfriend Dungeon as you guys, which is just that it was like a cute, like horny little thing. And I was like, this will be fun to watch, whatever. And then the Stalker character comes up, who's named Eric, and I was like, what? And yeah, I did make sure to look into it because a lot of the reason that people are saying that this isn't a big deal is because there is a content warning in the beginning. Vague at best. Like, okay, so if you were watching John Carpenter's The Thing and you needed content warnings, the content warnings would say blood, gore, and body horror. They would not say references to blood, references to gore, and references to body horror, which the warning for Boyfriend Dungeon says references to unwanted advances, stalking, and emotional manipulation, which makes it sound like either that is an optional character, you know, like maybe you meet them once and you can tell them to fuck off or whatever, or that it is another character's backstory, right? I feel like dating sims are pretty well known for like a character has a tragic backstory that you have to help them through. So maybe some character was stalked in the past and has trauma and you have to help them through it. That's what you would assume. That's not what it is. It is a major plot point. It is in fact part of the central plot point to the entire game that this guy is stalking you. And it is weird with the opt-out thing. I don't think that it should necessarily need to be opted out of because the impression that I got watching it was that it is very integral to the story. Like, I got the impression that this guy was going to be the final boss, basically. I'm not sure if that's true, but it seems like the whole thing was about, like, consent, and this is the big bad guy. So I don't necessarily think you need to have the plan to opt out of it because it seems like it would change the entire story. But the trigger warning is not sufficient. It's bad. And it was like kind of alarming and weird for me because I watched this game for maybe an hour and a half and I tweeted that it was weird that this was in it. And I had like a number of people message me thanking me for telling them because they wanted to buy it and realized from my tweet, which is less than 240 characters, that they couldn't play it, that they wouldn't be able to play it, like that they physically could not get through it. And that's a mistake. Not only do I think that the content warning in the game is insufficient, you can't access this content warning until you buy the game. If anyone has played horror games on Steam, you probably know by now, there is a section at the bottom of Steam store pages now that is there for a content warning. If you played No Longer Home, which is a fabulous game, by the way, play No Longer Home, especially if you like stories about non-binary college students. It has a little thing at the bottom that's like some characters mention suicide ideation and depression and gender dysphoria. Very simple. I can see it right on the store page. I know what I'm getting into. It's not on Boyfriend Dungeon's page. It's not on the developer's page. It's not on the publisher's page. It's not on the Boyfriend Dungeon website. It's not on the Twitter, and it's in none of the trailers. There is no way for you to know that before you purchase the game, and that's bad.
Right.
True. Stop.
That's disgusting.
It's not good. It's so frustrating because, like, again, even if I would end up not agreeing with the plot point of the stalking, it's clearly a strong choice that they made that that's going to be part of the story. I understand that they can't change it. They shouldn't change it. It's their whole thing. But I don't feel like a trigger warning takes a lot of work comparatively. It's like it's just text. You just type it and then it's there. So I just don't understand. I don't understand how that like got to the end part.
It's
Right.
like I wouldn't get it either because I feel like the concept is like interesting, but it's very like if with all this stuff going on, I've said this before, but like I kind of like honestly like really read it. It's like if you want something where a weapon has like a persona, just watch Soul Eater. I promise you, it's a good anime. Like it's literally
propaganda again.
like I know it's Soul Eater propaganda. It's literally the same premise as Boyfriend Dungeon, except you're not dating them. It's literally like your weapon has a persona and like you communicate and like work together to like get your job done. And like as much as like I'm like joking, like, oh my god, like watch this and stuff, but it's like genuinely it's like there's no triggers in that. Like there's nothing really bad going on in Soul Eater. And so it's just like this all happening like oh like here's like the stalker that's like after you and you can't get out of it, but you can like say no if you don't want a supportive mom texting you every day. And it's like that just doesn't make sense to me. Like how does like, I get people have different triggers, but it's like, why can't you acknowledge all of the triggers that people have? Like, especially something as violent as stalking and all
That
that stuff,
yes.
villain or not. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think like my thing is like we're not saying like, oh, this should never be in a video game. It's just like it shouldn't be a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Like we should have known about this. You should be able to know before you buy it, you know, that oh, this is what the game's going to be about. But there is absolutely no like
No indication anywhere.
yeah, none of the like the marketing material, nothing. Like this is
Right.
a total surprise.
Also, it's
So,
like storylines like this are kind of stereotypically common in visual novels. Like you won't actually see them that often, but you hear about them through the grapevine, but you can't expect them. Again, like to use horror games because they usually need a lot of trigger warnings, is if you buy a horror game, you can probably expect there to be like disturbing imagery, ghosts and demons, blood and gore, and then maybe you need severe warnings for other things, but those are like a baseline that you will probably have to accept to get a new horror game. And you know that because that's what the genre is about. I would never, like, when I think of dating sims, I think of fantasy. I think of
Right.
I think of like I'm getting to live my little kooky little life in my AU where I'm dating, where all these people just want me so bad. I don't think of someone fucking stalking and emotionally manipulating me.
Right.
I don't. It's so
yeah.
strange.
Yeah. I think like you could also make it an optional thing to a sense of like you could just make the character like annoying, like instead of, you know what I mean, like if the person like wanted to opt out of that storyline, you could just have the character just be someone who like shows up all the time, but they're not like creepy, they're just like annoying, you know what I mean, they're just like, oh, there you are again, or kind of thing, or
Why are you wearing that?
right, yeah, just like silly things like that where it's like you kind of remove like the unwanted aspects of that storyline, but at the same time it's also like, yeah, just we talk about this so often that I feel like it's so repetitive for me to say it, but like content warnings are not like spoiling your game. Content warnings are not like, nobody's gonna look at a content warning and be like, oh my god, I can't believe you ruined the game for me. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
just like warn people. It's like there was this game, and they we actually had one of the devs here, and it's a game where literally the storyline is you're escaping from an abusive relationship, but they tell you that in the description of the game that the storyline is you escaping an abusive relationship, and in their Kickstarter it was like very clear they have proper like content warnings, that, you know, this person is very manipulative, like they kind of go into it further,
Mm-hmm.
but in the description itself, I feel like if you're someone who doesn't want a story about, you know, where it's not even mentioned that, you know, an abusive relationship is taking place or whatever, from the description of the game alone on Steam, you would know that like, oh, okay, I don't, maybe not. You would assume that, you know, they would be a prevalent character in the game. You would assume that it's an ongoing story and whatever, but like if it's not even mentioned at all anywhere, then you're just gonna be like surprised by it, and I don't know why people don't just like let people know. And again, with like, even, and when they did do a content warning, it was very like vague, like, oh, references to this, you know. It reminds me of like the Medium, I think it was the Medium, where like they were like, you know,
Yes.
disturbing things may or may not happen kind of thing, and it was like, oh, these like extremely heavy topics, oh, thanks for the heads up, question mark.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, not into it. It's very disappointing, especially because, I mean, both of these games that we're talking about came out, I think, the same day, because there was like an indie direct situation with,
Yeah. Same day or same 2 days, something like that.
yeah, with Nintendo. So
Mm.
I think they just kind of, it was like a surprise release for them, within
Oh,
those
that
like
makes it
24
even worse. I
hours.
forgot about that.
Yeah. um, yeah, it's disappointing because I feel like I had no indication that that would have been a thing either. And I have been like on the lookout for this game, as well. And I would have just like, imagine, especially for us as streamers, imagine just like being super excited about this game, and the only thing that you know is like, oh, this is like a silly little like, game where your weapons, you can date your weapons, they have a human form. Oh my god, this is gonna be so cute. And then you stream it, and then you get that vague warning, and you're like, okay, may or may not happen, just be on the lookout. And then it's like, it actually like literally happens to your character, and there's no way of backing out of it. And then you see people like praising it, being like, oh my god, they're so, look at them being like so good, like, oh my god. And they have like the screenshots of like the vague content warning at the beginning of the mom thing and all that stuff, and you're like, are they? Because like,
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, like streaming something adds like a whole, like so many other layers of complicated onto it. Because like you have to have your own reaction to it. You have to process that reaction to it while live on the internet. And then you have to account for everybody else's reaction to it in your space.
Right.
And like make sure everybody else is okay while you're still processing your own reaction to it. And also having that like processing amplified by the fact that you are live on the internet. It's just like,
Right.
this is why, like, especially like from a perspective of a streamer, like content warnings in games are so important for
And
us.
I mean, you had that happen to you literally on stream, where like you had to update your content warning as something terrible literally happened while you were streaming, and there was no way for anyone to like suspect that that was even gonna happen.
Well, I was literally like about to have a panic attack on stream. Like I literally had to do that.
Right. Do you want to like talk a little bit about it, just in case people don't know, like for the game? And you don't have to get into like details of what happened, but yeah,
I can get into it. So I thankfully I was in my VTuber form. As a VTuber, on my days when I'm a VTuber, I play mystery games, like murder mystery games. And I was playing Famicom Detective Club: The Missing Heir. And there had been mentions before of like of course like there were indications that there were going to be like mentions of suicide, discussions of suicide. There were not indications that there were going to be depictions of suicide, or indications of the manners in which that would be depicted. And I was thrust into a situation where I had to see something that is like a huge trigger for me personally. And you can literally like, you can't see me because like I mean I was a PNG tuber at the time. So like you can't like really see my reaction, but like I was recently editing those clips, and you can hear like my gasp, and like I had to like end the stream like right after that, because like it was just like, it's like, oh, I was just like playing a nice murder mystery game, and now here's something that's like a very specific trigger for me. Oh no.
Right. Does the game itself have any like warnings, like as you boot it up, of like?
No.
I was gonna say, I can't imagine.
Nothing. Yeah. So now when I'm playing the second game in that series, and like they're great games. I love them so much. But I do think it's really important, like especially with something that can be as triggering as like depictions of suicide, to have like some kind of warning in there. And when I do play the Famicom Detective Club games on my stream, I have like the command for the content warning in my title. I have it as a timer. I bring it up like whenever anybody brings up like a suicide in that game. I'm like, okay, so there's, just so everybody knows, there's going to be mentions of suicide, discussions of suicide, like occasional depictions of suicide, like just so everybody's aware. Because
Right.
like seeing something like that and then not being prepared for it just like thrusts you into like such a situation. And I was like really messed up like after that stream. So yeah, that's kind of like firsthand experience of why it's important to have content warnings that are available, readily available before you purchase the game.
Right.
Because like
These aren't,
speaking
like,
on
uncommon
that game too, it's just like I wish all like every game should have trigger warnings, but like especially like detective games, because like they always deal with death, but like I don't think I've ever seen a detective game have trigger warnings. Like Phoenix
Right.
Wright doesn't have trigger warnings.
Mhm.
Famicom doesn't have trigger warnings. What's the other detective game? Like I don't know any games that like don't have trigger warnings. Like I'd say like the very like small extent of like detective games that wouldn't need trigger warnings maybe would be Nancy Drew. But like even then there's games that have like some parts that are very questionable in it as well. And there is one that actually does deal with death. But it's just like I don't understand why games just in general just can't have trigger warnings, but it would just be so much better if you could just say so. Like
And
I
like
don't get the animosity of it.
even if like there had been like some kind of content warning, like this game has depictions of suicide. This is the method of the depiction of suicide. I would have known going in, but that moment still would have been shocking.
Yeah,
Like
because like
Yeah.
you would have knew it was gonna happen. You just
that you
wouldn't
didn't
know
know like
when or
when and
where.
where and who
Right.
and the whole like situation.
Yeah.
It still would have been like surprising and like shocking, but it wouldn't have like caused me to panic live on stream.
Right.
Which
Like,
would have been great.
can we
Or
just
or I
say,
mean, maybe you would
if
have picked up a different mystery game and you would have been like, this is not for me. And I can literally play another game that also deals with death, but not in this way.
Mhm.
True, true. But yeah, I just give people the agency to make that choice for
Right.
themselves. Is
Especially
all
if you
we're
don't
saying, I
offer
guess.
refunds, Nintendo.
Oy, 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 oy.
Yeah, yeah. But that's our podcast. Pretty much. Speaking of like, let's get into lighter topics. Let's talk about what everyone's enjoying. Let's talk about what
Can I
everyone's
say one thing
Yes.
liking.
really quick?
Hmm?
I just want to say one thing really quick, which is that
Yeah.
if your game having mild spoilers and content warnings will ruin the story of the experience, your game is shit. So who cares? Just straight up.
Right.
There we
Absolutely.
go. There we
Right.
go.
Or like, just because it's like, are you relying on the shock factor too? Because it's like, you know, like, okay, like that thing can happen. And like, one of the things that I remember was like, for example, Tell Me Why. They literally are like, well, it's mild spoilers, but whatever. And they tell you like, this is when it can happen and this is when it will happen and all that stuff, like misgendering and stuff like that. And so you're like, you're prepared. And so as the scenes are happening, you're like, oh, this is probably where that thing is happening. And it's like, it didn't ruin the game for me because like the plot twists and all that those things weren't like revealed to me, because guess what, they didn't rely on the shock factor of like triggering someone potentially to write a good story. um but yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
what are we
Anyways.
playing?
Um,
Do we
I
want to
can
go
go
down the line?
first. I I've been playing I know this is gonna sound but I'm still really enjoying Famicom Detective Club, even though I had that experience. I'm playing The Girl Who Stands Behind, The Girlie Who Stands Behind now, and that has been so fun. Like I feel like we're like really getting into this case. There's like spooky implications. Um, somebody somebody was in my stream last night pointed out to me after the fact that I didn't even realize that we were doing like spooky ghost story stuff on Friday the 13th, which is great. But yeah, basically like the framing device of this game is just like there's this ghost story, this like old ghost story about this high school, and there's a girly who's standing behind, and we got to find out the truth.
So
And
descriptive.
it's already she's a girly and she sure is standing behind. But we're like basically like there's a murder case in the present and there's a murder case 15 years before this, and they're linked, and we got to find out how they're linked,
And
and
your character
we're
is
getting
15
this
years
drama.
old, so you're
Our
also
character's 15 years
thinking.
old.
It's
Yeah,
like a
so
whole
we're
thing.
basically, but it's been really fun. It's been a really good time. Ruby, what have you been playing?
Iconic. I recently started playing Chrono Trigger,
Yeah.
and it's been such a blast. Um, I also say that because I haven't gotten into more confusing things, because I feel like, okay, so Chrono Trigger is a game that I'm playing the Steam version. It came out in '95, but it actually like the battle system reminds me a lot of like Final Fantasy VII Remake. I keep saying it because if you play the classic mode, and what I mean by that is like the characters are not like in a row, the enemies are not like in a row. It's like whatever the you're at with your characters, and wherever the enemies are as they spawn, that's kind of where they fight. So like your characters are all over the place. Sometimes they run after the enemies, sometimes the enemies run after you. So it's really cool to see. It's literally a pixelated version of what Final Fantasy VII's remake classic mode was, which was, for people who don't know, because I feel like a lot of people didn't play the classic mode, it's where you take the ATB system where like you have to wait until a little bar fills up before you can control your character, and so with Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can have the characters automatically just like do standard attacks as they fill up their bar, and it's like very cinematic, and you see them running around and all that stuff. And then as the bar fills up, you can do like abilities like magic. You can use items. You can summon things, whatever. And so I think I was like, as I was playing this game, I was like, this would be really cool for like modern games to do like a turn-based thing, but instead of having the characters just like sitting there or standing there, you can just have them like jumping around, running around, like, you know, automatically like shielding themselves from the enemies, or, you know, doing that kind of thing. And it's been really cool to see that. Like the characters are super animated. I love that. It's from the same I think art director that did like Dragon Ball, and then eventually went on to do like Dragon Quest. So like that, it's, you know, if you've seen Dragon Ball, you know what the characters are gonna look like roughly.
Yeah.
So it's super cute. But the thing about confusing things is like a big part of this game is time traveling. So I've only gotten to the part where we went to the past, and minor spoiler, we're going to the future. And I'm just like, this is gonna get confusing at some point, but for now, I'm having a blast. So I love all my characters. We have Coochie, we have Booch, we have J-Hop, which is generally inspired by J-Hope, but he's a frog, so he hops, so I just called him J-Hop,
I love it.
as one does. So, you know, love my little cast of characters. Everyone is iconic in their own way. We also have Gnarl, because I'm obsessed with saying Gnar, and her name was Gnarl or something like that, so I was like, let's just do it.
No.
So that's my experience with it. I've been occasionally playing Unite, Pokemon Unite, until I get angry, and then I'm like, okay, time to go. The children have logged off, the adults are here, and it's time for me to go as well. Yeah, cute, but it's definitely not like, I'm not like obsessed with it like I kind of was in the beginning. Occasionally I get into Fortnite, and other than that, that's kind of it for like what I've been playing. I've been really bad at like playing stuff like off stream, and like, you know, starting a new game, even a story game or something like that, because I've always have that instinct to save it for the stream. But I'll try to do it and then report on it. But yeah, what about you, Lotus?
It's been a minute since I've been on here. I actually have like a few I could talk about.
Yes.
I'll only talk about the ones that I like. Let's put it that way. But
Wait.
like one that I really want to talk about because it's so cool and so interesting is called Metavax, and it's by Studio Punk Cake, like Punkcake, and they're doing this project kind of like Sock Pop, where they have a Patreon and they're gonna be trying to make a new game every month, which I think is so cool. It's so impressive. And so their game Metavax is a mix of Minesweeper and a shooter, where you're basically like a tiny little virus and you're training to like sniff out virus cells. And so like you use Minesweeper rules to find the viruses, but if you suck up Minesweeper, you can just shoot and kill everything. Like if you're like, I don't feel like counting right now, let me just use my reflexes. Like you can just do that. It's super interesting. And like there's all these different upgrades, so you can upgrade to maybe be a little bit safer, or you can upgrade to go more aggy, and then you also have like special upgrades which will make the cost of your vaccine cheaper, or that will remove side effects and stuff like that. And it's just really interesting, and it's a really good time. It definitely feels kind of like not really like Tetris, but like something in that kind of vein of like Lumines or something like that, or like even Galaga, where you will play it for like 2 hours straight, and then you're like, okay, I'm done for the day. Maybe I'll play it later. Like a session feels really good to play. And then I also
Nice.
think this one the girlies will be into. I played a game called Overboard with an exclamation point, and it's about being in like I want to say the 1930s to 50s. It's somewhere in there, but I forgot exactly where. And you know like a young ingenue. You used to be an actress. You married your husband, and you're going on a cruise to America, and you murder him,
Oh,
and then you have
well.
to try to get away with it. It's literally just Overboard, get away with murder, and it's fabulous. It's all like a sort of point and click adventure social deduction kind of game where you talk to people, you try to learn more things, and then it's sort of you get to replay the day every time you get found out and die. And so you kind of like come in with this new information, and you know exactly where everyone's going to be at every time, so you can sneak into people's rooms and do all this stuff, and it's just super duper interesting. There's all these
I
like
have to
little
play
things
that.
you can find out from each character. You would love it. I think it's like $15 or $20 or something. It's amazing. I didn't get all the way
Like,
through
you
it.
sold me.
Excellent. Good.
Killing men?
Yeah,
I'm in.
killing men. Yeah, I think you can kill a lot of people, but I'm not 100% sure. I didn't quite get to that point where I was trying to kill everybody.
Wait.
Like I've heard whispers that one of the ways you can win is just by literally killing everyone, but I don't know if it's true. The way I got through was by framing somebody else.
Oh my god, I kind of love that.
It's great. I would really recommend it. I definitely like. I mean, I felt encouraged, and I really wanted to like go back and find out what's up with everybody else. Like I found out that somebody like has someone locked in their room and is pretending that they're not there, and I'm like, are they a stowaway and it's okay, or are you murdering somebody or kidnapping somebody? And like I'm very curious. It's really interesting.
I really want to play this now. Oh my god.
Yes, please. Okay, yeah. And the last one that I played recently is I finally started playing Chicory, A Colorful Tale, which is a game about this cute little dog painter. And basically, the color all gets out of the world. So you take the magical wielder's brush because they are what's the word when you can't draw? They have art block.
Me?
And like
Oh.
they're depressed. Not me.
They're me. They can't draw.
Yeah, and it's just a really sweet game. The music is wonderful. It's by Lena Raine, who did the Celeste soundtrack and then also did some stuff for Minecraft. And yeah, it's really sweet and cute. And there's all these nice little quests. All the characters are like fun to talk to, even if they're like there's not usually mean to you, but the ones who are kind of mean are really funny. There's these little side quests. You can dress up, and then you can even like paint your clothes different colors and like lock the colors because each region has a different palette. And yeah, it also has like a nice little emotional core where your main character, which is named after your favorite food, so mine is called Chimkin. So Chimkin is like, oh, you know, like I'm kind of a loser and nobody likes me, but I want to be the wielder, and like I don't know. And then you have Chicory, who is the former wielder, who's like kind of depressed and doesn't really want to be the wielder anymore and doesn't know how to proceed with their art. It's like we just kind of have these long stretches where it's all just like kind of the wholesome fun, and then you kind of get to that for a little bit, but it's all just wrapped up really nicely so far. I haven't finished it yet, but I really enjoyed it. Good.
We're putting those on our wish lists.
Please do. We love indie games in this house.
We're removing button whatever and boyfriend whatever.
Already forgot their name. It's gone.
Irrelevant. Flop.
Anyways, Dex, what have you been playing?
Oh god. Before I fade away into the darkness of this fucking thunderstorm outside my fucking house. I've been doing my usual 14, playing a little bit of Unite here and there, just doing my dailies. With yesterday I forgot for the first time, so that was the time. But I have picked up a little game I played a long ass time ago. For those of you who don't know, Adventure Quest Worlds, or AK Worlds for short, is an old MMO RPG that came out in 2008, and I actually played in like 2010 when I was in like 4th grade. So
I'm sorry. I was like, ooh. 2010,
Just-
fourth grade.
I
I was
was in
like,
fourth
ooh,
grade, Ruby.
the
We
stab.
get
old.
I was like, fuck, that was like 10th grade for me.
Me and Bex
Yeah,
just love to casually drop these, knowing that it will cause y'all psychic damage. It
Ooh,
is
we
so
love to see
funny.
it.
the
It is
damage.
so funny.
Ooh,
It was
But you
my
know,
first year of
I was a young
college.
youthful in fourth grade in 2010. But I like played it in fourth grade, and then I was like, I played it a lot, but then like after like a year, I like stopped, and then I came back in 10th grade, which was like 2014, and I like dabbled in it for a little bit, and then I like stopped again. But recently, I was like, I had a random idea, like, what if I got into it again? Because I haven't played it in a while. And I got into it, and I've been playing it all day, every day.
aw.
So I've been really loving it. I've been trying to grind up, getting all these different classes and stuff. It's kind of nice because it's like if you can level up what like you only level up your main character, like your level carries on, and then you can just make enhancements for different classes. And, like you do have to level up other classes, but it's like 10 ranks is the level, and it's like really quick to get. So it doesn't take that long. So it's like it's really been fun. I've been enjoying it. The story is a little rocky. Like some parts I'm like, yes, I've lived through this, and other parts I just like skip through because like it's irritating. But I've been enjoying it. I've been having a blast. But I think that's all I've been playing, honestly.
I think me and my friends used to play this
Oh, I
in
love that.
oh my god, yeah, in our computer class, everyone would be like learning how to use like, Microsoft, like, I don't know, like Excel or something like that. We were like, and we would open like that window. Like it was like me and only like maybe one or two people. And
We
we'd play
love
like all of these like
Hacking
flash
yourself.
games.
I get Ruby to get back into it.
Oh, I could no,
Yes.
absolutely not.
It's free.
I can slightly drag you because Dex learned recently that this was technically an MMO. Dex was like messaging me
Okay,
like, "Oh, I thought 14 was my first MMO. Turns out."
because I literally, when I picked up the game, I was literally like, what is this game considered? Because I always said 14 was my first MMO, and I always thought it was. And I like went to go like install it because like you can't play in the player anymore. You have to actually download the launcher now. And it said AQ Worlds MMORPG, and I was like,
Well,
oh no, 14 is not my first
Living a
MMO.
lie.
So I was living a lie, but now I know the truth. So
I heard
I'm
that
ready for
Thunder Rumble.
that.
That was kind of sexy.
Right.
well, iconic in every way. Well, before I rot into oblivion, maybe let's talk about where people can find us and
Our dusty skeletons.
our dusty skeletons
Delete
in
it,
our social
Rot.
medias. Rot flop. Anyway, Spin, where can people find
Oh
you?
my
What
God.
are you up to on your streams
can-
and things?
You can stumble upon just the scattered bones of my skeleton, uh, deep in a dark cavern at twitch.tv/spinblend, and also on Twitter and TikTok at spinblend. Sometimes I'm a VTuber girly. I do true crime videos and mystery game videos on my YouTube as linblend, and I also make and sell soap at Spin Soap Cafe. What about you, Ruby?
So,
Oh, me? I'm slowly rotting away as my old self just keeps aging on a daily and hourly basis at Project Ruby on most platforms, the Project Ruby on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, I would do weekly videos on YouTube. I recently kind of got back into reacting to K-pop things, so maybe I'll do that more often. I've accidentally become a K-pop channel. I did like 3 unboxing videos, 1 reaction, so I'm just like, I'm a K-pop girly now. I've always been, but just I guess on YouTube again I am. And on
little better.
Twitch, yeah, right. On Twitch, I am doing a series called Ruby's Retro Roulette, where I'm playing through games from each year since I was born in all the way back in 1994 up to the year of our
Ancient
Lord
times.
2021. And so yeah, the I oh I Did I mention Donkey Kong Country last time? Maybe not. But I played that. And it was infuriating.
Yes.
Thank the Lord, the Switch version has a rewind feature. Let me just say that. No, it was fun. It was really fun, and it definitely encapsulated what 1994 was like. But I was like, ooh, I could not play this game without the rewind feature. I just could never. It's so unforgiving at times that I just, yeah. But anyway, more of those shenanigans on my Twitch channel. And I currently have a poll out for 1996. So we'll see what that year is going to, what game is going to represent that year. It should be very interesting. But yeah, what about you, Lotus?
Well, I'm just feeling so beautiful and youthful and glowy on this day.
Well,
I do like how the cameras are set up. It looks just like me and Dex are like sucking the life out of you guys. Like because of how this conversation has gone. I really wished earlier that I had like a straw so I could just be sitting here like
stuck in my head.
Yes, exactly.
but Karma got Dex because he just got jump scared by something.
The lightning struck, and I'm about to cry right now.
I thought that was something on screen.
That's the withered corpse of Ruby casting necromantic spells on you. I did not say any of those words, right? But it's fine.
too.
That was good.
I let y'all hear that time.
I love it.
Well,
It's
I'm
the
not the
darkest
only one dying on
only.
this day. Let's just say that. Sorry, Lotus.
No, it's fine. I was the one who derailed it, to be fair. But yeah, I'm Lotus Loves Lotus everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Patreon. I like indie games, and I like being a lesbian. It's really fun. So if you like those two things, hi. Oh, and then the other thing I forgot to mention, I have started my Psychonauts replay, which is on YouTube, and it's very like kind of like old school Let's Play style. Like there's no webcam, there's no special stuff. It's just like me in the game, and I talk about what I like and what I don't like, and give little tips because I've played it like a million times. So yeah, that's me.
Iconic. And last but not least,
The thunderstorm doesn't get
Hi.
inside us.
I'm the young, youthful girly in the dark in the thunderstorm.
From
Dextralicious.
Teen's Choice Awards.
Yes, at the Teen's Choice Awards. If I'm not being struck by lightning, you can find me on Twitter at DexIsAvest and on YouTube and Twitch at Dextralicious. And yeah, that's me.
I kind of love and hate that this has become like almost like a K-pop introduction. How everyone has like a thing that they say. It's like, "Hi, I'm the young one. Hi, I'm the one that does this thing. I'm the one that does that thing." And y'all are the ones that are like, "I'm the beautiful, youthful member of Just Gaming Tingz. Hello, here I am."
I'm enjoying though how it's kind of like bookends now. Like the intro's clownery, the outro's clownery. Like I feel like we could use more of this energy in our outros.
The
So,
middle's
like, really-
also clownery.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
clownery burrito. Just
Listen.
encompassing.
Yeah. More clownery, less personal attacks. That's what I would say, but maybe we can do without. Maybe, it's just a part of who we are. But anyway, you can find us everywhere at Just Gaming Tingz with a Z at the end. We're on Twitter, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the wonderful podcast services that you can enjoy podcasts in. Follow us everywhere, please. We are slowly but surely getting to 100 followers on Twitch, and we definitely want to stream more often. There you go. We want to do it. We want to do it really badly. It's just turns out coordinating schedules between a lot of people is a challenge. But we are willing to take on that challenge and provide more streams to you soon, TM. But yeah, until then, stay safe, stay masked, vaccinated, all of those fun things. And yeah, bye, flops. I don't know.
Bye, olds.
Bye, gays.
Bye, wigs.
Choose your character. Bye, gay. Bye, flops. Bye, old. Or bye, wig.
It's time to go. Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras.
We gotta go. Bye.
Bye.